Aloha. In this video, I wanted to go into a little bit more depth on the belief systems of the individual, the human experience, the how they got there, what how they affect us, what kind of effect they have on us, why they exist overall, just from my perspective. And it's a bunch of things that I've written down here that I kind of just want to breeze through because I've already mentioned a lot of this stuff in previous videos, and this information is not new. It's very well understood, and I think just by speaking on it in reference to these kind of topics and just bringing it up overall will help people process this information. It doesn't have to be understood or researched or anything like that. It's just a matter of kind of like experiences give you wisdom. So it's kind of like air you breathe or water that you drink or nutrition that you ingest. Information does the same thing. Perspectives give like flavor to that information. So you can give somebody the answer sheet, the answer column all day, but they're not going to get any kind of nutrition from it because they don't have the mechanisms in their body. They don't have the biology in their bodies to process those nutrients. So they're just going to kind of like filter, just kind of pass through the body, the system, like nothing. Like it's just going to be empty. They're going to miss out on everything. So the approach that I take on this channel is based upon sharing as many different approaches that I can based upon as many different experiences that I've had to help people realize that this is a very complex system that doesn't take very much complex systems to combat it. It just takes complex experiencers to interpret these experiences from a natural perspective or a simple perspective, because nature is very simple. It's very systematic. It's mathematic. It has a science to it. It has a beauty that is being demonized because what is worshipped in this out of balance society is the linear interpretations of a university system version of science, which is not true science. True science is science that is in relationship and harmony with alchemy. University system science is science that is based upon power and control grids that is largely political. Like when they say separate the church from state, they're doing that to make it make you feel like you have some kind of say in the matter in reference to your vote counts and so on and so forth. So then, since there's so many religions in society, this culture, that they need to tell you that everything is separate. So this is just a very universal thing. Your vote counts. The church is separate from state, but yet they will tell you that they're going to war in the name of God. Yet they will tell you that they are conquering this land in the name of manifest destiny, which is the name of God. Like these heathens, these primitive savages, they need to be civilized. So civilize the ones that are either too weak to fight or are either or civilize the ones that are too weak to fight, kill the ones that are going to fight, and then you can control the entire scenario. And they fight with information, psychology. So when you look at like the psychology of positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, with positive reinforcement, you get better bang for your buck. So the system knows this. This is why the system has to play a role where everything is just beautiful, everything is okay. And the people who are in charge have your best interest in mind. But is that true? Obviously not. On every level, every layer of resources that you have in this experience is being filtered through a system that is not at all designed to protect or have any concern with the masses of people, let alone any one individual that's not tuned into that top of the pyramid sort of perspective, that top of the pyramid crew, that crowd or that squad or whatever, the top of the pyramid squad. They won't really go into the negative effects of this. They'll stay and televise the positive effects. So this is why you have negative reinforcement on the heathens, the primitives, the savages, and you have nothing but positive reinforcement for the people who are enslaving you and controlling you. So everybody that is outside of race, because I'm going to get into race in a second, but outside of race, everybody that's a part of this enslavement program isn't necessarily aware of the information. Like, all of the people who are protecting the globe are not knowing that they're protecting the globe. A lot of them are largely protecting their own sanity. They're protecting their own universe, their own worlds. So that's why people say, well, is everybody lying? It's like, no, not everybody is lying. Most people don't know the depths of this programming because they believe in this system so much. So what they do is they create distractions and deflections all around the conversation that you're bringing up in order to level the playing field so that nothing else is going to be personalized to the individual that you're talking about. So when you tell somebody that the earth is not round or not a globe, you're personally attacking them on a subconscious, unconscious layer, pretty much, and conscious layer if they're that sensitive. But subconsciously and unconsciously to them, you're attacking them because they have zero defense mechanisms for that. They have no weapons for that. Everybody is on par with the earth being a globe. So when you bring it up, you're like, ugh. And people aren't used to that. So it hurts. So the same thing happens when you reference the human story, or specifically when you reference white supremacy. So when you reference like racism or white supremacy, it's the same thing like flat versus globe. It's like, oh, it's like, didn't we deal with this already? Isn't everything just human? Everything is just okay. It's just wonderful. And then you're like, no, you're not seeing this. You're living in a la-la land. You're living in a fairy tale. And a lot of the people don't realize that they're living in that fairy tale because they don't know the other side of the story. They haven't lived where we live. They haven't seen gentrification, how we see gentrification. They don't even know what it is. They haven't seen colonialism like we've seen colonialism. They don't even know what that is. That largely the people, they can't look at that because it damages their universe. It's getting into the nuts and the bolts of the individual. And people will not stand for that. They will not allow that to happen. So they will attack you and make you the bad guy in this situation that you've just generated out of this basic conversation where you can't even question your reality. You can't critically think. So this is how these two systems are pretty much one and the same, because we're talking about the individuals. We're talking about the people that make up the collective that are holding all of the cards, when you really look at it, against the power of haves and have-nots, the systems of control over human resources, control over, all of this stuff that allows us to be comfortable in this world. It's based upon your ability to create belief systems. So in previous videos, I was referencing the belief system. It's not the actual things that are like the globe and racism, white supremacy and all this. It's not those actual things. It's your belief systems in those programs, whether it's conscious or subconscious, that allows those programs to have an effect, to be enacted in reality, for lack of a better term, like some kind of legislature that's, you know, it's taken as like, this is it, this is good, everything is okay now. But we all know that when you, for people who are experiencing a reality outside of the top of the pyramid, or at least the other scales that are there at the top of the pyramid, for the people at the bottom of the pyramid, the ones who have been demonized as less than human, still to this day we're still demonized as less than human.
Hollywood is very segregated in that how we approach films of color, and no matter how well you do, it is you did good for a black movie. This summer we had Girls Trip that killed every comedy out there. Still, look at this little black movie go. As opposed to saying, how much was this film, what was this film's budget versus how much did it make? Our budgets are normally way less, and we tend to way overachieve. Isn't that cute? Oh my God, we had such low expectations for you, and look at you just overachieving. We actually didn't believe in your art at all. And look at you making us all money so we can finance the projects that we really like that you're not gonna be in. That's so cute, but thanks.
All of these programs that exist, it's not only that. I mean, it's very simple. It's like a diet white supremacy. That's what it is. Everything that you're looking at right now is diet white supremacy. It's Hollywood, all the doctors that you have, all the teachers that you have, all the politicians, all of the musicians, the pop culture in itself, pop culture, pop medicine, pop law, pop politics, pop everything. Everything is pop, and it's Western civilization, so-called civilization, that is basically diet white supremacy.
When LeBron James can make it to the world's largest stage, and he wakes up and there's nigger spray painted on his door, what do you say to your kids? No matter what dad accomplishes, I'm still just a nigger?
The Civil Rights Act was diet white supremacy. And you just have to accept that, because that's the status quo. So civil rights was addressing things like people being lynched, Black Wall Street being bombed, people being burned, churches being, demolished, just basic human rights. Okay, that's the thing. That's what it boils down to. The natural laws of your basic observations of this reality. So just as much as you can realize that the DMV at once never existed, you have the inalienable right to travel these roads. What is that? I can't remember the word right now, but you have the inalienable right to travel these roads. Then they said, well, we can make some money off of these people by making them have some kind of license. So this is the thing. They make these things seem like it's for your benefit. It's not for your benefit. It's for their profit, physical and psychological, because it's all based upon control. So when they do these false flags, that's for profit and political profit. So they can make more moves in your face based upon these false flags that they've generated for you to believe in. And you'll just say over time, oh, that's okay, that's good, we need that. You're asking for your own enslavement. You're asking for your own demise over time. You're asking for your own de-evolution of consciousness. So what they do is they do that publicly, and then secretly what they do is they install all of these societal norms or these societal programs that make you think that you have a fighting chance or that you're changing the world in some kind of way. So this is the flat earth rollout, the mainstream flat earth rollout. This goes into the Civil Rights Act, where people were thinking things are changing. It's like, no, they're giving you a doggy treat. Today what's happening with this is social media, everybody against Donald Trump. So when the world was, it's about creating belief systems that are very general. So you create these giant circles that bubbles that people can jump into, and then pop culture is a giant bubble. So what happens is they generate these locations where belief systems grow. And what you do is you jump into that location because all your friends jump into that location. And what you do is you download the perspectives of the belief systems around. But the thing is, nobody gave you those belief systems. You chose to jump into that bubble because it's the cool thing and all your friends did it. So this happens with every clique, every crew, every squad, every gang, every whatever group of people that are together that are claiming to be, or the best people in the universe, whatever it is that you claim to be. That situation is designed to create a separation between you and pretty much everything else, because you're saying like, I'm this. When you formalize like I am this, then not to say that it's a bad thing, but just to say that if you're not cognizant of you doing that, if you're not cognizant of you placing yourself in a box of limitation, then that experience will consume you. Because just like a dream, you're not going to be able to become lucid in a dream if you are constantly being affected by your emotional body. If you're constantly being affected by the surroundings within the experience, and affected by meaning that you have no ability of manipulating the dream in any kind of way. You have no power. You don't know who you are. You don't even recognize yourself as an experience within this dream. You can't recognize yourself outside of the body. So the only way you can recognize yourself in a dream is if you have an awareness that you are not limited to the body. So when you have a limitation to the body, you're limiting yourself to the people who created the guidelines of what that physical body experience is. So this is what the university system is. So they created this Mr. Rogers type mentality for grown-ups. So basically people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Mr. Bill Nye are basically the adult version of Mr. Rogers. So you come home every day from school, work, you turn the TV on and you watch the news or Mr. Rogers or cartoons or whatever it is. It's all big. It's a big distraction. This is why they had Bill Nye the Science Guy working on pretty much as the epicenter, the core, the millennials back in the day, so that in the future they can be shut down because their belief systems is not in what the individual is talking about anymore. Their belief systems are vested in the individual himself. So Bill Nye is not Bill Nye when Bill Nye was Bill Nye for you in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. Bill Nye is not the Bill Nye on CNN. Bill Nye is that part of you that's like somewhere in here. It's like part of your body. It's part of your intellect. It's part of your psyche, because you, by him being attacked on television by, other people about science and all this other stuff, they're attacking you, and all they have to do is say, you're just crazy, you're just dumb. So they have all of this climate change stuff out there to make you vest your positive reinforcement that you do on yourself into the system, into their belief systems. So this is another version of like pop culture. So what it does is, like I said in the previous video, it keeps a particular group of people, a mentality, like I said in the last video, for people who are taking these words or these angles personally. White is not a people, black is not a people. These are all mindsets. These are all, if we stop right now, stop, and just, look at what's going on. To say that there is no white and there is no black is not to say that there is no black culture and that there is no white people or whatever. No, it's a mindset. People who approve of that mindset, they accept that reality into their experience, and then they become that reality. So you become a white supremacist. You become, whatever it is that the society has told you to become. And then that's you from now on. So that's how you can have African Americans. That's how you can have whatever the hell that is. It's made up. It's made up. If you already know that melanated people were across the world before any of this pop culture civilization started to move around, then you have to stop right there. You can't push it to the side and move on to the next thing. You have to start acknowledging this stuff. Like when you go into what predates the belief systems, you're getting into the consciousness of the individual, where that comes from, as far as like working with it outside of the synthetic version of reality, not like the origin of like, oh, where does spirit come from, like that. Just like, at least not yet, just talking about this experience. See, people in the New Age community, they want to jump chapters and fill in the gaps of all that jumping that they did with alien sub-chapters. So they say, I'm going to jump to the Andromeda Galaxy. I'm going to jump to the Pleiades. I'm going to jump to the, the Orions. I'm going to jump to whatever it is. They're going to jump to all these conclusions, basically. And once they get to those conclusions, they're a different person now. They've chosen a different experience. And now they have it's like a synthetic positive and a negative. Their synthetic negative is now just like somebody who becomes successful in the pop culture reality. They don't affiliate with their poor self anymore. Those people who become different people after they get a little money. You're like, who the fuck are you now? Like, you're not even the same person. Well, the same thing happens with the New Age in a different light, pretty much. They jump into a New Age community. They become a New Age version of themselves. And they don't affiliate with the old person at all, because they are now a Pleiadian version of themselves. You have the option to do this with yourself. You have the option to do whatever it is that your mind can create. The system knows this, so it uses the mainstream media and television to generate experiences and perspectives for you. And they get you from every single layer. And it's all really boiling down to positive and negative reinforcement. Donald Trump, war brings peace, the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, manifest destiny. This is all negative reinforcement under the guise of positive reinforcement. Whereas you have positive and negative reinforcement under the guise of positive reinforcement. So you have, or did I say that? This is the same as the other one. No, that was right. So you have the positive reinforcement of, we're going to take care of you. This system is designed for your benefit. This is the evolutionary peak of humanity. And anything if you don't agree with anything that we say in this society, you are no different than a primitive, a savage, and a heathen. And you are a threat to our civilization. This is why you have the prison industrial complex. This is why you have gentrification. Because the people who stick around within gentrification, largely, this is numeric, like by the numbers really, it's not going to be all encompassing. The people who stick around and play the game, they are not a threat to the system. So they will accept that reality of enslavement as the norm. The people who will not accept that, or can accept that, because this is what gentrification does, it moves people out. This is just one example. It's not all of what gentrification is. In moving people out, that's a statement at the same time. It's like, I will not be bought off. You can't buy me. Not to mention the fact that, you're completely demolishing my community right now. You're turning it into this Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus sort of Starbucks nation. Everywhere you go is a damn Starbucks. That's what's happening right now. It's a parasitic infestation of the human experience. And they're selling it to you with this alchemy that makes you believe that it's all okay. And they use mechanisms, they use things to make you believe this stuff. They use things to make you generate belief systems. It's So they can't make you believe it. They create an environment where you have no choice but to make their belief systems for them. That's what's happening right now. So that's at the heart of everything. Conspiracy theories, lies, all this other stuff. That's what I'm saying. Like, when you're focusing on flat earth, you're playing checkers at best. Flat versus globe, that's checkers at best. Because like I said, if they were to go public with flat earth tomorrow, you are powerless. You, as the person that you are when flat earth is not public, you have more power now than when they co-opt your power. So if you still are priding yourself in a position that is beneficial because most people aren't aware of this, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're not getting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead of the game, which is the same rules and regulations that the program uses. You're playing elementary math. Laugh. While they're laughing at you, you're playing elementary math, thinking that you're doing something, thinking that you're playing the game. You don't think this is in any way. You can't entertain any perspective that flat earth was rolled out. You can't play any of that and see how that's being emphasized in this reality. You're playing checkers at best. And the most irritating thing that I see with this whole sort of flat earth community is that is the norm. That's the norm of this shit. I'm watching view counts go down on videos. I'm watching, pop videos go up. This rocket launch shit that's out there. It's all about the material. They don't give a fuck about what's going on before the material comes into being. And they say, oh, well, we use material to help people get into realizing the spiritual and the psychological warfare. Well, you having to convince me of that bullshit, it's not really bullshit, it's just a stepping stone. You having to convince me of that is a proof that there is more, there are deeper perspectives that you can come from and share the same mechanism. That's not to say that you have to do that. That's just to say that it exists out there. To say again, don't try to convince me that what I'm saying and what I'm doing is off or some kind of way. Just as much as I don't really give a shit about what you're talking about individually, I'm addressing the general approach of something like a flat earth community, which in my perspective is already fucking dead. It's dead already because you are playing checkers against a system that's playing 3-tiered chess for your soul, your mind, and your body. If you don't play chess to get to a point to where you are able to see the moves before they are played, you're going to be living in an illusion. You can make money off of chess or checkers. You can make a lot of money off of checkers because that's where the majority of people are. You teach people how to play checkers one move at a time, to see what's going on, see some stuff they never even saw before. You can make some money off of checkers. But once you start getting into the game of chess for the soul, the mind, and the body, not regular chess, once you get out of checkers and you realize chess exists, once you realize chess exists, then you start to realize that it's not just level playing chess, it's a 3-tiered chess game that is for your soul, your mind, and your body. It's going to take a long time to get there. And once you get into that, you can't really make money off of that. You can't get money because you're empowering people to get out of the checker game, which is about making money. It's about making that, one step at a time sort of thing. That's so like, you become an entrepreneur, become the become this, become that, do all of this, and then you'll become successful in the world of checkers. What's happening right now with the conspiracy theory and the flat earth, even some of the flat earth world, is that they're jumping out of the checker game. Congratulations, great job, you did it. but they're jumping straight into a one-dimensional chess game. And that's dead already. It's no different than checkers. It's just a more complex version of checkers. Once you jump into chess, you have a responsibility to realize that it's not one layer. It's multiple tiers of chess being played for your soul, your mind, and your body. If you subscribe to any one of them and don't acknowledge and address all of the other layers of chess that's being played, you will be playing checkers underneath the illusion of playing chess. That is a one-dimensional chess game. Still playing checkers underneath the illusion of playing chess. So, yeah, hold on 1 second. So in this positive reinforcement, what happens is you give all of your life away, you give all your energy away to the system and say, look, you're doing a great job, man. Manifest destiny, colonialism, genocide. You guys did a great job, man. Great, like, sign me up. Where do I get my social security card and my birth certificate, and where do I become an entrepreneur? Like, how can I be a part of this diet white supremacy? How can I be a part of your pop world?
It is natural, but interestingly enough, studies show that if you have between 104 degree or 108 degree nasal tip rotation, those are the ones that are considered the most beautiful.
Now, we would have difficulties today moving that stuff around. Now, I'm not saying that we today cannot do it. I'm not saying that. But if we're struggling with our modern technology, is it really logical to suggest that our ancestors did this with pivots and with little ropes and with wooden rollers?
Well, and hers is 106.
Somebody in here to measure our nasal tip rotation.
And then we know if we have the most beautiful noses.
But symmetry is what they say is a lot in the eye of beauty, right?
Okay, the second most requested eyelids.
So that's what you have right now. Like the positive and negative reinforcement, what happens is you basically have like high definition bullshit. You got like 1080p or what's that? Whatever it is, the definition of videos. I'm having a brain fart right now. You have high definition bullshit and diet white supremacy, and everybody else is just kind of like drinking Diet Coke and being like, man, this is delicious. It's so much better than drinking tap water. I don't want to be drinking muddy tap water, muddy water out of the river or out of the lake. I want to drink, some refreshing diet. It's not going to get me fat. It'll kill you though. Excuse me. It's like aspartame. That's the whole thing with the whole diet thing. It's like diet itself. It tells you, drink this because there's less something in there. When there's not less, there's more. There's aspartame in there. Aspartame is worse. It's gonna tear you up. So that's how this system works. It's telling you, this is good for you. It's diet. Come on, drink it. You're not cool unless you drink it. So this is what they're doing. They're marketing your demise through ads. They market everything around you to destroy you, internally and externally. We can't differentiate between the two. We don't know what the internal and external is. We don't know what the subconscious and the conscious is, which is why it's so damn difficult for people to understand what's going on outside of the mainstream, obvious programming that we are surrounded by, with stuff like flat earth, racism, white supremacy, simulation theory, transhumanism, NASA, all that shit that's out there that's being manipulated and co-opted. It's designed to make you think and act a certain way. And we think because we've recognized the way of not being super bad, that's enough. No, it's not enough. Because if you're a piece of shit, and welcoming the diet white supremacy world as the evolutionary peak of humanity, that is super bad. It's like Diet Coke, but you don't realize it because everybody else is drinking Diet Coke. So, let me read these. So the you have the positive reinforcement and the negative reinforcement. The positive reinforcement is your idea that this system as it is today, through evolution, through gravity, through the Big Bang, through technology evolving, all of this nonsense, positive reinforcement is that society as it exists today is the evolutionary peak of humanity.
I mean, there's no way that human beings, even 100,000 of them, could pull these things. They've done experiments by putting hands around blocks. You can't get enough hands in there. You can't get 200,000 hands to lift a block.
Did ancient aliens using anti-gravity and sonic levitation technology help early humans build the ancient wonders of the world?
That is your positive reinforcement and your thing that exists that makes you not question your reality. So that's the positive. The negative reinforcement that is just like I explained earlier, stuff like the military-industrial complex, racism, manifest destiny, genocide, colonialism, gentrification, where their word is unquestionable. Their word is the law. Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's already right before he steps on the stage in the mainstream world. You can't have an argument with him. You can't have a debate with him. You can't have a discussion with him because he props himself up in there. He just looks at you and says, you know, I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch. So fuck you. Whatever you say. You got questions? You want to critically think about your reality? Kiss my ass. I'm in charge. I'm in charge of this universe. I tell you what the universe is. You can kiss my ass from every angle because you are nothing but a little heathen, primitive, savage piece of shit. I built the university system. I built the White House. I built politics. I built capitalism. I built democracy. I built all this shit that they're out. This is what they're standing on. And once you see the government as the biggest gangsters and thugs out there, then you can see them from a different light. See, the people who've been living in the streets and living, you know, at the bottom of the boot of this beast for so long, we're aware of this. It's just like when you explain stuff to like I said, I'll go back to the white and black thing, but I'll just use these terms just to reference the state of mind because people believe in that state of mind. When you tell, so when you're watching a lot of these YouTube videos, you have to see the over explanation of, you know, flat earth. How many questions does it take? That's probably the best analogy for what I'm really talking about here in reference to the foundation of your belief systems. So you know that commercial, that Tootsie Roll commercial, say, how many licks does it take to get to the center of the Tootsie Roll Pop? And then they say 1, 2, 3. Well, it doesn't take fucking 3 licks to get to the center of that Tootsie Roll Pop because we've been crunching down that motherfucker for decades, centuries. We know what's at the center of it. We are at the center of it. We know every angle of this. So if we've been locked into an illusion for however many generations, it's not going to take that long to lick to the center of that truth and get to that point. But because we realize that that's sugar. We realize that that's aspartame. We realize that that's an illusion because we've been living, coping with that illusion for so long. And it's more difficult for people who struggle to cope because you're always having to deal with stuff. So people who don't have difficulty coping because they have all of their resources surrounding the game is stacked for them, then it's not a big deal. So that's more work you have to do. All those not a big deals is work that they have to unveil that we've already done because we've already known not to believe any of their bullshit. So all that over-explaining things about flat Earth is a good example. Like, how many questions does it take to get you to fucking start critically thinking and asking questions about your reality? How long is it going to take? For an example, just to use words, white people will be like fucking 10,000 damn questions to ask, whereas you go to Oakland somewhere and you start telling the people about, you know, the truths or the observations, the perspectives of flat Earth, they're gonna get it. I got it, man. Why? Because we're not subjected to the illusions of the pop culture mechanism as much as people who benefit from that system. We can already tear it down. We already know that system's full of shit. You say NASA, we already are suspicious about that. You say NASA.gov, we got it. See, that's the difference between people who benefit from the system and people who don't benefit from, people who are being subjected by and obviously everybody is being kicked down for. I understand it. What I'm saying, this is an example purpose to zero in on how this alchemy works, how this works. So what they do is they televise, they publicize all of the people who are having difficulty with this and all the people that interact with that difficulty. They publicize, they put them on television to slow time. Because if you start putting people on television or in front of other people who share a different way, so does it take this long to do your homework in a regular pop culture, but it takes this long to do your homework? It's like instantaneous when you start to realize how the system works, like how the math works, not learning how to copy and paste, like repeat what they tell you, but learning how to function. That's how you start making actual movements. That's when you start playing the 3-tiered chess game. They don't want to do that. They want to, the so-called the system that's trying to protect its own existence is designed to steal your time because it has all the time in the world. Its time is based upon your consciousness, and if you give away your time because you jumped into that bubble in order to give your consciousness, your time, your focus, your work, your energy away to that system, did they actually do anything to you? No. You did it to yourself. Because you have all of the capabilities that they have. You just forgot it. So this is why all of the illusions have to be so grand. All of the publications have to be so slow. And we have to seemingly go through these steps that are based upon, in one perspective, the thought processes of mainstream culture, or in another explanation, the speed limit of white people. So when you go at the speed limit of white mentality, white frequencies, whatever that is, once you go at that speed limit, then, let's see, once you go at that speed limit, you're going at the speed of something else other than you. And you can realize that your entire experience will slow down based upon those rules, regulations, and everything that's around you. Now you can understand learning without any limitations. That's a very definite, it's a faster sort of change. Inventions will come quicker. Smarter people become, more powerful people start to come in your community. That's a threat to the system. It's like the hospital needing sick people. It's in cahoots with the prescription drug companies. They will give you something that will give you side effects so you keep coming back. Society does the same thing. It will give you something that'll make you feel something, one thing, but it'll give you on that three-tiered chess game that they're playing on your ass. It'll give you something else that will totally destroy everything else around you. All the side effects, but you won't pay attention to it because that one thing that they gave you that pill that they gave you to combat whatever kind of flu or sickness, disease, whatever it was, you believe they positively reinforced you that they are your your saviors, but they're not there for you. They're there for their own benefit. Hence the 15 to 30 side effects that actually keep you coming back later on. Society, as we know it today, is like a doctor. These drug pushers, these thugs, they are selling you mainstream pop culture as if it's going to heal your wounds. It's not designed to do any of that. It's not designed to heal. It's not designed to entertain. It's designed to lock you down. This is not about entertainment. You have to look at a lot of these things that we think are for our entertainment and ask yourself, is this for entertainment or for an effect? Like, I wrote something down. Let me find what it is. So, the negative reinforcement, or all the things that I listed in reference to the negative reinforcement, in reference to the positive reinforcement, the genocide, the racism, the colonialism, the white actors playing black roles, playing in so-called white, so-called black, any roles, like back in the 50s when white actors were playing like Asian roles. Like, that's a psychological thing. What that does to you, it affects you inside of who you think you are. Not only you, but how you perceive other people. Other people are less than. So when you see constantly, like the movie The Gods of Egypt being played by all white actors, when you see Asian people or white people playing Asian people in Asian movies, like, you feel less than, subconsciously, unconsciously, and eventually consciously, which is the intent, knowing that those two things exist. Is that Hollywood? Is that idea? Is that for your entertainment? Or is it more for an effect? Ask yourself honestly. Is putting white actors in black roles for your entertainment or for an effect? Psychologically. So now that we've established that the systems that are in place are designed for an effect and not your entertainment or not anything else, first and foremost, they are designed for an effect on you. An effect in reference to your power and your control. Your ability to threaten this system. Your ability to expand your consciousness outside of the level of consciousness that they need it to be in order to control you. Once you break that code, then you're breaking all of their mechanisms that they need you to buy into their belief system bubbles. So all the codependent programming, all of the systems that are out there that are designed for an effect, food stamps and all this other stuff. It's not to look down on anybody who's using food stamps or anything like that. What I'm saying is that the design, the very nature of it in itself is designed to have an effect on you, no different than the same thing like the Civil Rights Act. Politics, democracy, your vote counts, Bernie Sanders, all this stuff is out there to make you think like the system is benevolent. This system is the most malevolent system that has ever came to be in this known universe that we are in right now. Because it is an extension of every other mechanism, every other system that has made its money off of soaking, destroying, parasiting the natural design. So when you see all of this mainstream pop culture stuff, it's a synthetic universe. It's to create a normal system around that which you think is natural, because you've replaced your perspectives of nature with normalcy or normality. Normalcy is actually probably a better made up word. Normalcy. Normalcy is the status quo of this Western civilization. It makes money off of malice. It makes money off of malintent. It makes a profit. It lives. See, when I say make money, I'm talking about money as in a sense of time, stealing consciousness. That's what real money is. That's what money is, actually. It's a mechanism. It's a tool to have you give your time away, to steal your time. So when you understand all of that, then you can start. This is the bridge into the non-physical. You're starting to interpret what the differences and the similarities are between the physical and the non-physical reality, and how they affect us on the whole. So another version of these, positive reinforcements are stuff like Alex Jones thinking you're a patriot fighting the system, Bernie Sanders thinking that you're progressive fighting the Democrat and Republican system as if it's different from progressivism, TYT as if it's different than mainstream media, alternative news, aggressive progressives as if there's differences between all of these. These are all compartmentalized systems designed to create micro bubbles for you to jump inside of the macro bubble. A macro bubble of all those bubbles is manifest destiny. It's a bigger bubble. Is it the biggest bubble? Of course not. But it is a bubble that exists around all of the little bubbles that exist today inside that big bubble. So you have manifest destiny, you have white supremacy, you have evolution, gravity, eugenics, gentrification, simulation theory, the idea of the future, futurism, dystopian psychological programming, utopian psychological programming, new age psychological programming, alien physical universe as they portray it through a solar system. All of this is programming to have an effect on you. It's not for your education, it's not for your entertainment, it's for an effect on your consciousness. Why is my question. Why do we have this? So is it needed? Like, is this needed? No, it's not needed. It's an alchemy. It's like a criminal designing the bank robbery. They have to have each second timed out. They have to have each move, each plan timed out. So if anything goes wrong, they're covered. And they can get out of the bank without anybody asking any questions, and they'll never be caught because there's so many different things that have been taken into account within that system. So, I'm looking at my notes real quick. So, what inherently happens when you have a constant bombardment of psychological programming like white supremacy programming, where they say, basically, the white actors are the best. They're just the best. I mean, come on. Nobody's going to play a samurai better than fucking Tom Cruise, okay? That's just a fact. So let's get him in there. Nobody's going to play a better Egyptian god than, I don't know, Hugh Jackman or whoever the hell they put into this stuff. I don't think it was him, but it was other people. Whoever it is. You see what I'm talking about. What that does is that it creates separation. For one point, just like inherently the effect that it has on people is instantaneous, unconscious and subconscious, and will eventually grow. Like, it sets those roots into the subconscious, unconscious mind, and when those roots are set, it's just a matter of time through your experience that those roots are going to turn into branches, and they will just turn into trees and leaves and fruit, and they will grow into your world and start dropping more synthetic fruit, more destructive mentalities through your fruit, so they can plant the seeds, grow roots, and grow more. So it just keeps growing, into the physical reality through your subconscious and unconscious programming and plants that they put in there. So when they say, well, black people are just fucking thugs and gangsters, they don't work, they're full of shit, they're this and that, they're just dumb. We need some good, wholesome, respectable, patriotic, fine white specimens to play these roles. And these are the best of the best of the best. They are genetically superior to you. That's subconscious programming. That's the effect. You think it's for your entertainment? You think that when they came on that came down on that lady, or the directors for that movie, Doctor Strange, whatever her name is, Tilda Swinton, whatever, who she played she was supposed to, the character in that Marvel movie was supposed to be an old Asian man. They used a younger white woman to play him. And then what did they say? Oh, we're diversifying our she's such a great actress, and we wanted to do something different. Oh yeah? Okay. Does it have an effect on people? Obviously. Is it there for your entertainment? When you realize the perspective of effect, not really. No, not really. It's no. There is no entertainment value there. It's for an effect. Now, when I go watch these movies, I'm watching for the effect. Me watching for the effect is entertaining for me. So I've made it into an entertainment again. Before I wasn't aware of it. Now I'm aware of other people have done this too. I'm just sharing it for people. Like, well, you still watch movies? There's still TV. I don't watch them like I used to. It's a different. You're using different eyes. You're using different ears. It has a different effect on you. And when I used to watch it before is because I used to fill the space. I used to be uncomfortable with silence, uncomfortable with this. It was a thing, like a prescription drug that I needed. But it's not needed anymore. And then you just move on to whatever your art is. And my art is involved in interpreting this stuff. So since I am aware that alchemy, the belief system alchemy, is the biggest one that's out there right now, because it's the precursor to all the other ones that are out there. Then I said, well, I have a responsibility now to start to disassemble this broken system and do something with it. Then, like, help people see this stuff. Then after a while, if you don't love what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it in the first place, and eventually it'll start to weigh down on you. But I love what I'm doing. It's fucked up that it's happening, that I have to do this. But this is at the tippy top of my responsibility right now. So, in a sense of like giving to myself and to all the brothers and sisters that are out there. So yeah, they show the best of themselves. This is why you can't look at history. You don't know anything about colonialism. You don't know anything about gentrification, white supremacy, like all of the tragic events of our history. Not even of just so-called white people or that mentality, but control and power overall. You can't look at any of that stuff. You only have to be positively reinforced. The negative reinforcement comes in the discipline, the fear, the schooling, the so-called education. This is that negative reinforcement. But once you become an actor in that world, you become one of the positive reinforcers. So you have the positive reinforcement, you have the negative reinforcement. The overall effect is the control of your consciousness, the control of your ability to create belief systems. Once they got you, they got you. And it's nobody else's responsibility but your own to break that curse, for lack of a better word. And then they surround you with all of these other mechanisms to keep you from asking these questions. So I'll end it on this because I think I pretty much went through everything else. So you have high definition bullshit, diet white supremacy. You have the best of the best always being presented to you by your leaders. You have the worst of the worst always being presented to you by your so-called leaders of the people. So this is why the local news is designed to make the general population look fucking horrible. Like, they're just terrible, heathenistic, primitive, and savage nonsense monsters that are all about shooting people, burning things, robbing things, raping things. Like, everything about humanity is just sick and disgusting, and the only people that have any kind of civility in this sick society are the people with money, the people who benefit from this, the origins of this sick society. Why do you think things are so fucked up today? Because things are not being acknowledged, they're not being referenced, they're not being brought up to the surface. The things that are at the epicenter, the origination of why things are so fucked up today. They're not going at it. They're talking about the side effects. They're talking about basically everything that's existing today post-Columbian era is chemotherapy in reference to cancer. Will chemotherapy help a few people stop cancer? Yes, it will. Will it kill a lot of their living cells while it's doing that? Yes, even if they make it. Will it kill more people, chemotherapy? Will it kill more people than it will help? Yes. Will it kill more people than holistic natural remedies? Of course. So why is it legal? Because you can make a profit off of chemotherapy and cancer existing over and over and over again. The same thing existing, the cancer of a heathenistic, savage and primitive society. It's a cancer culture, and they can make money off of that. So the worst of the worst, the best of the best, and while they're selling you the best of the best of who they are and what they are, the mechanisms in this, and when I say they, it's not to say white people, it's to say the mentality of that. It's black people, so-called black people, that benefit off of white supremacy more than a lot of so-called white people. You can find them. Somebody gonna make a video about that if they hadn't made it already. It's a lot of black people, so-called black people out there that benefit and actually amplify in like was it the everyday world, not going into the psychology of it. Even though there are some jacked up people in those systems that take that white supremacy psyche to the next level, man, and they're not even white. It's a lot of, you can go, this is obvious, you can go into like Mexico or South America. Darker South American, Central American people are second-rate citizens. Where did that come from? Who invented that? Where did it come from? What kind of effect does it have on people? So you have the positive reinforcement, you have the negative reinforcement, you have the filler space in between. So you have like all the protest groups, these are filler spaces. Another filler space is like the other kind of filler space. You don't really see it as a filler space until you really say it and look at it. But I was driving down the highway these last few days, and you run by these billboards, these Christian billboards that say stuff like, do you have questions? Just a giant billboard that says, do you have questions? God has answers. They don't say Jesus has answers. Probably some of them say that. But they say God has answers. A lot of them. It's just God everywhere. Do you drive up and down like India or Thailand or whatever it is, and see like Buddhist ads or Hindu ads or Islam ads, like, do you see did you see like billboards saying like, do you have questions? Buddha has answers. Do you have questions? Brahma has answers. Like, it's commercial. They've commercialized the idea of God. They've commercialized your non-physical reality. Because once they commercialize it, they can make money off of it. And they have to reinforce you. That's what those billboards are. They are positive reinforcement that the society that's in place today, in this destructive ass history, is backed by God. It is a destiny to be in control of you. And by accepting that reality, you're accepting everything that founds that reality. And that's what's being avoided today. And another way that they're avoiding that is to have these prepositioned fight backs. Like I said before, all of the protests and even flat earth being rolled out, your Bernie Sanders out there, your other politicians, your activists, the Hollywood movie scene that is politics is designed to show you the best of the best and the worst of the worst. And what happens is you fall in line somewhere in between, and the only thing you have to do is maintain your responsibilities to the world or whatever, your kids, your career. And what happens is so the best of the best. Oh, that was what I was getting to. So you have these things, like I said, the military-industrial complex exists to make you believe in all that stuff. You have little micro bubbles in there, like the "Don't Tread on Me" flag, the Patriots versus globalists stuff that Alex Jones talks about. Like, you have these mid-level revolutions, Civil Rights Act. These are all these things that take a pride in a synthetic universe. Another part of that is like these Obey hats, these Obey shirts, this Obey brand. Like, you see people walking around, you see these lost ass people walking around with a hat that says Obey on it. They think that's it. They wear a shirt that says Obey. They're fighting the system. But that's all pre-generated. It's co-opted. It's created to make you feel like you are fighting the system. Protesting makes you feel like you're fighting the system. Wearing a shirt that says Obey makes you feel like you're fighting the system. Voting makes you feel like you're fighting the system. Having a so-called first black president makes you feel like you fought and won against the system. Is that for an effect or your entertainment? Obviously both. More so for what? An effect. How much money can you make off an effect? How much money can you make off of entertainment? Effects are like legends, where entertainment, you can make a hero, like it said in Sandlot. Heroes last forever, but legends never die. It's all in your heart, kid. Or follow your heart, kid. You'll never go wrong. So yeah, that was from Sandlot. Yeah, so it's this heroes and legends thing. It's like, yeah, they put these superheroes in front of you, but that's for your entertainment. The effect is legendary. It allows the directors, the producers, the Hollywood moguls, and the system itself to continue doing what it's doing at your expense, at their benefit, and so on and so forth. So all this Obey stuff, it's just like, even like They Live. Like so simultaneously they put it in your face. It activates it. It makes it real because it's in your conscious reality. That's what makes it start to grow those tree branches, those It starts to come from the roots of your unconscious and subconscious reality, which is the majority, the 99th percentile of you, who you are. And it grows into the conscious reality, the physical reality, and it becomes this big thing. Whatever it is, it becomes this thing. And that's the thing, is when you consciously decide based upon their conscious implants. So they install this implant into your reality. That's step one of bridging that gap. Step two is you accepting that, not doing anything with it and allowing it to be, and then building up on top of that like it doesn't exist. It's not for your entertainment, it's for your effect. So obey. They do things like these national parks. Like I think it was Teddy Roosevelt, who did this whole like turning all these national parks, or turning all this land into national parks. Is that for your entertainment or for an effect? Both. Obviously, for what? Well, first of all, they just pimped this land grab, this treaty, breaking all of these treaties. They just pimped that whole game and told you, no, this is for your benefit. We're making national parks. This is for you. So don't ask any questions. And people just said, oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Roosevelt. You are a true patriot. Meanwhile, what effect did it have? It ripped all of that land away from the Native Americans. It put all that land in the hands of the government on paper. And it made you celebrate it. That's the effect that surpasses the entertainment. So national parks, you believe in the system, you don't give a shit about the original, the Native Americans. These are all the effects that this stuff has under the guise of having a positive reinforcement or effect on you. So don't tread on me. I already mentioned that, as whole like we'll fight for our country and that whole thing. Obey national parks. This another version of this is like I mentioned in a previous video, like in the Sandlot. They have that one part where the kids are just looking up at the fireworks and Ray Charles is singing, oh, beautiful, America the Beautiful, and just America, you just see it, just oh, sweet America, God done shed his grace on thee. Like, that's all reinforcement. It's put on your faces, in your faces, entertainment, and then. So anyway, you have that. You have songs like I mentioned in another video, the Saturday in the Park song, like the vibrancy of it. In the park, I think it was the 4th of July. Like, it was like 4th of July every day or something like that. That's like a lyric in the song. I keep playing that. This top 40 mentality. That's what this is. Is top 40 existing? Top 40. What is top 40? It's pop and music. Top 40 based upon what? Who? How? When? Why? Is it for your entertainment or is it for an effect? Just like the trending ad. Is that for your entertainment? Is that for an effect? Ask yourself, because you're the one that's like consuming all this shit. Another thing, what is this? I saw the other day them talking about breaking California into 3 different states. So, for what? Largely because of the money. They're looking at the money, but beyond all of that, what that does is that it just takes the broken system and breaks it up. So what it's doing is creating division between people again, no different than these damn NBA teams, NFL teams. Look how fucking stupid people get in the stands of these stadiums. Because one person likes the Raiders and the other person likes the Cowboys. Kind of stupid ass shit. I was arguing about that shit in high school and in junior high about fucking NFL teams. Raiders and the Niners and the Giants and the A's and all that shit. I'm like 12 and 13 and 14 years old, you know, around people who are fighting other people because of a sports team. But that's what it is. So the same effect that has on people is the same effect that that's going to have on that breaking California into 3 states is going to have. Now it's going to be under the guise of, oh, well, we're doing this, you know, progressive sort of thing. That's how they sell it to you. But the effect that's happening is that you're not paying attention to the illusion that they're building that foundation on top of, and you're simultaneously creating another version of positive reinforcement that makes you think that this is for your benefit. It's not. And then you're simultaneously going to forget about the fact that this is not your land. This entire system. So you see all of these different things that are there. Technology, the university system, Elon Musk, all this stuff that's designed to make you think that the future is for your benefit. The way they design the future for you. It's designed to make you not heal the wounds of our past and present moments. You just keep building and building and building and building because everything about your world is about entertainment. It's not about truly being alive. It's about just existing, the living dead. So yeah, this whole diet white supremacy, it's not a remedy. It's not a diet. It's a medicine. It's a coping mechanism. It's a prescription drug. And you have a bunch of addicts out there. This is why you have people like Russell Brand talking a lot about addiction, because you don't have to be addicted to drugs or anything like that. You're addicted to society. You're addicted to the way things are. You're addicted to coping mechanisms, addicted to apathy, addicted to pop, addicted to escapism. See, we're largely unconsciously and subconsciously addicted to all of these things. So when you hear somebody talking about addiction, you relate to them because subconsciously they're helping you process things you didn't even know existed there. Like, it is there, but they're helping you process that, which is why they can make money off of that, because it's another prescription drug. It's not anything that's going to help you deal with the cancer. It's a chemotherapy to cope with the side effects of the cancer. So they have all these false versions of positive movement that are designed to largely bring you down. So it's marketing enslavement, and they're the best marketers out there. They market your demise. So racism is marketed. White supremacy is marketed. Like war, these are all marketing techniques. They call politics. They call the education system. They call intellect. It's all a marketing ploy. And you have to ask yourself, at some point, are you just going to accept the protocol of this synthetic system, or are you going to start to observe the natural laws of the universe, maintaining a focus of protecting this experience for the next 7 years, 7 generations out? 7 generations out. See, what this system makes money off of protocol means is that an example of this is, hold on a second. An example of this is, I just was watching a show. I don't know, it might have been a show or a movie that was on. Somebody else was watching it, and they had these cops surrounding this one guy, and one of the cops shot the guy in the leg because he had a gun. Shot the guy in the leg. He went down. The guy that had got shot, still surrounded by these cops with guns pointed at him. He shot him, the guy was down. Basically disarmed him. What happened was, the guy didn't, he shot him in the leg, so the guy didn't die. What he did is he got up on his knees and he opened up his coat, reached into his coat for like a gun. It could have been anything, but they thought it was a gun. Protocol was the gun. You know, think in your head is a gun. So all of these cops shot him, probably like 100 times, like 20 cops surrounding him. All of them shot like 5 shots or something like that. Is that a human approach or is that protocol? Is it a human approach to shoot a man 100 times while he's already been shot on his knees, he's disarmed? He could have been going for a gun. 100 shots later, protocol protects those individuals in this synthetic, broken universe. Humanity says, what the hell is wrong with you? The viewer of that experience is in chaos because the movie just keeps going on and nothing gets done about, you know, what was going on there because it's protocol. Synthetic destruction of this universe is protocol, while natural humanity is demonized. Could this be a correlation between indigenous people being labeled as primitive and savage and heathens, whereas the new world, the democratic capitalistic system, is being seen as a hero, fighting the criminals? This is what's happening today. It's the same effect, it's the same system, and ultimately people feel hopeless because they don't know what to do in that situation. What are they going to do? Nothing. They're powerless, hopeless. It's protocol. It's been protocol for however many decades. So there's nothing we can do about it. Well, you'll get your protocol. I had a few other things I wanted to go through on here. I think I'll save them for the next one because I pretty much went through everything here. What is this? Yeah, I'll save these two. These are these two main things that were pretty intense that I wanted to go into, but I was going to save it for the next video now because I need some time to go through that stuff. But it circles around, like, it's a good drop-off point after this video because it circles around more of the entertainment and more of the levels being pushed in reference to the platforms of our belief systems. So that's largely what I'm going to get into in the next video. Is this was like the platform of your belief systems, and the next one will be kind of like an introduction to those belief systems that are sitting upon that platform. So it's pretty, I think that's alright. I think that's it for this video. See if there's anything else. That's pretty much all I had. I thought I was going to keep this short again. I want to keep them short, but there's so many different things that I write down. Like I wrote down so many different things in reference to how this all fits together to help people see all these different perspectives, because it's not as linear as a lot of people think it is. Like when I talk about stuff and when other people are talking about stuff, well, I'll speak for myself. When I'm talking about racism, I'm not saying that in reference to it's the only thing that exists and we have to focus on. No, I'm saying this is a very definite mechanism that exists, no different than heliocentrism, to control, dominate, and inflict a power over people. And until we realize how that exists, we're not going to be able to do anything worth any kind of value against this system. It's just going to be fluff, illusions, distractions. And that's what the system banks, that's what a system makes its money off of, which is the most dangerous thing, which is why I had been coming down so hard on a lot of the mainstream flat earthers, because they are projecting, whether they know it or not, it doesn't matter to me, they are projecting an atmosphere that's inherently hopeless, empty, and dead when you play checkers against a 3-tiered chess master. You're playing checkers against a 3-tiered chess master, thinking just because you're having the illusion of playing chess now, because you went from checkers just listening to whatever they told you, fear. They shifted over to love. What you did is you activated their love on a flat, single-dimensional experience or observation called flat earth truth, or flat earth this and flat earth that, or whatever kind of thing people pride themselves with. You jump from, thinking somebody else's thoughts and then critically thinking about a single layer of information, a single layer, one dimension of observation. And since you're now thinking as opposed to where you weren't thinking before, you think you can take that thought and just beat that thought up. I'm beating you up because this is chess. I'm not playing checkers anymore. I'm beating you up. Before, you were just eating whatever they were saying. You're just like, that's delicious. And then you fought. But now you have an equal playing field in a sense that you have who you are, and you have the ability to research information that allows you to realize the depths of the mind control programming that are out there. But just because you have that ability doesn't mean that you're actually going to do anything with it. That's the trick. That keeps people from not doing anything, because they'll just accept whatever is in their reality as the truth or what needs to be happening. So once you get to that point, you have to realize that you're still your ego thinking you're fighting something, and then realize that you don't need to be dealing with that. That's bullshit in the first place. All of their illusions is bullshit in the first place. So what are you really anchoring yourself in? When you just go straight to the offense after having been beaten and abused for so many generations, you jump straight to offense, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you don't generate a subconscious, unconscious, and conscious defense system before you start working on the offensive system, you're going to be fighting yourself. You're going to be fighting yourself, and you'll be your worst enemy. Once you stop becoming your worst enemy is once you stop fighting and you start realizing that the information itself is multi-layered, multi-tiered. And in one basic observation, this warfare is for your soul, your mind, and your body. And each one of those layers has at least one chess game being played. It's very complex in each one. The fight for your body, the physical warfare, the fight for the psychological warfare, and the fight for the spiritual warfare. It's all very complex, but in reference to moving from the checkers to a single-tiered chess to a 3-tiered chess, you're seeing that it's simple in a sense to see how it exists like that. But once you get into interpreting it, which is why some of these videos take so long, is because breaking down the nuts and bolts of one layer, and then and then cross-referencing it with the complexities and the simplicities of how this alchemy works against us. It's not as simple as just like I said, the difference between entertainment and effect. If you're not aware that the system is designed to mind control you on every level, you won't even be able to entertain that kind of a thought of the difference between effect and entertainment, because you'll just be like, oh man, you think too much, man, what's wrong with you? Is something wrong with you? What, you think they'll really be lying about all this? No, no, you just go on and on and on and on, and you won't do anything about it, because you're caught up in the back and forth game. You don't even know who you are. You're thinking somebody else's thoughts. You're defending somebody else's reality. So that's one way that they got you. They can get you because you get yourself. But once you expand your consciousness, you can't be gotten anymore by simple ass shit. You can't be gotten by Democrats and Republicans. Last time I was gotten by a Democrat and Republican sort of thing was probably the first and only time that I ever voted. I'm pretty sure it was during wait, where was it? It might have been Obama. I can't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure that was the only thing that would have gotten me to do it. But I might have been home during that time. I might have, because I remember doing it in the city. I don't remember. At most, I have only voted once before, and even in that act, it was just like, this is meaningless. I never did it again. It was just like, this is so ridiculous, so far from, and the whole act, the whole ritual was just empty, dead. But yeah, that was the last time I ever was affected by the idea that this place, or that story at that time, red versus blue, is who I am. Like, that's me? Who did that? Who said that? Well, the system did. Until we get to the foundations of that system, you will never allow yourself to get to the foundations of the individual, which is the empowering space, which is why I focus so much on the human story. A thing is not going to help people break this enslavement. Flat Earth is a thing. I don't give a shit how much you package it up. You can package it in a Bible. You can package it in Christianity. You can package it in the New Age, the New World, all this oneness and unity and connection with the Creator. You can connect it with whatever you want. It will always boil down to the individual and their belief systems. The experiencer of that experience. Heliocentrism is an experience that these assholes have created for the experiencers to believe themselves into. That synthetic universe. It's an experience. It's a belief system. And you have to believe yourself into that universe. It's your responsibility to dig your way out of that universe. And until you break free completely of that universe, if you got any kind of garbage, shit on your boots or whatever, if you haven't equipped yourself or at least acknowledged it on the way, you will carry that stuff into your next world, into your next experience. And it's not going to go anywhere. And that's all about your time. If your time is being consumed by these illusionists, then you never were alive. You never had time. You've never experienced time. In this world, if all of your time has been based upon giving your time away to the responsibilities of this synthetic universe. I didn't really think that I had started to think through. I didn't really think that I was alive until I started to realize that I'd been lied to about my entire universe forever. Not in reference to flat Earth. This is pre-that. This was 2008 time frame into 9/11 stuff. And I started to realize, at that time I didn't notice that's what was happening because I was so bombarded, so struck by all the destruction. I didn't realize it until I left that dark dungeon of how the hell is all this stuff being done? Like, how did this happen? And then started to process that information and put it here, do things here and there. And say, okay, what am I really looking at? What is this? What is all this stuff around here? And then once you start looking around, you also start to hear in the background, you start to hear the speakers of that old world who are designed to make you stay in that world. So as you're organizing your life, your experience, so you can think for yourself, the radio of the mainstream is still playing in your background. And it's affecting all the people around you, but you've learned to tune it out. You're still listening, you're still aware, but you can tune it out, and then you can do something with it. The thing is, you have to learn how to tune it out in a sense of leaving the awareness there so you're not blindsided by loose alchemy. But you also have to allow some awareness to what that voice of that world is doing to all the people around you. Because if it doesn't affect you now, it'll affect you in the future. The alchemy that's being installed in people right now, the kids will be affected by this in your future. Excuse me. So it is your problem. New Age people, flat earth people, whoever it is that thinks that any of these other situations that people are dealing with doesn't deal with them, it's your problem. I don't give a shit how spiritual you think you are, how awakened you think you are, how enlightened you think you are. This world is part of you. For this moment, at least, the people of this world are a part of you. The experience itself is a part of you, at least for this moment in this experience. And it's a matter of what you're going to do with it. The alchemists of that controlling world know how to manipulate and control you. And every moment of their life, they don't take a day off, is dedicated towards making that system of control more complex under the guise of simplicity and innovation for you to just jump right in and accept as your reality. And a lot of people will do that because they have no other options. They never thought of any other options. Because that's not the status quo. It's not to think for yourself. It's to regurgitate what everybody else told you. So that's pretty much I have with this video. I might split this in two. I think it's like 2 hours long. We'll see. Is there anything else? Nope. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, from all my relations. Peace, love, and harmony.